Welcome to Discussing Dad Life, also known as DDL. This is Null, I'm Void, where we talk about various topics. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like our content. Okay.
It's all good. Okay, so we were going to do the Facebook stuff that we
Yep.
that we-
Responses.
yeah, so I think the first one was in regards to
Oh, it's right where we left off last week with
it should be this.
porn.
Yeah, because there's two polls and then a question that you had posted. So
Yeah, I just had a random question, so I thought I just wanted to see, generally curious on what anybody perspective was.
yeah, fair. So I guess let's check out the first. I think it's a poll first. Yeah, right there.
Poll.
Will you encourage your child to go to college, trade school, or enter the workforce after high school? And I was actually a little shocked on this because it was 100% for trade school, not
dude.
college, not even going into work. It's
Trade
go to
school.
Trade school.
That's what I teach my kids. Trade school, because you can do something with that.
Yeah.
Whether it's automotive or masonry or, whatever.
Yeah,
I always, there's more examples out there. I'm just drawing a blank, but
electrician, plumber.
yeah, electrician, plumber, construction. Yeah, all that stuff. That's what I always tell them to go into because,
Welders. Yeah.
people are dumbasses today. They go and they get, a sociology degree or whatever.
Basket weaving.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what
Gender
the
studies. That's a good
Oh,
one.
God.
let's go get a gender studies degree.
If
How
you don't
come-
know what's between your legs, you got a fucking problem.
Hey, I'm just saying, let's go pull, 6-figure freaking worth of student debt, go
Yeah.
get a degree, and then complain that, hey, no one wants to hire me.
Yeah, like who the?
Well, why would I give you a job if you can't even tell what the two genders are? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
I
like-
completely concur.
Yeah, you done wasted 4 years of your life and 6 figures to go figure out that a man has a penis and a woman does not.
Vagina.
I mean, Kindergarten Cop. Remember that movie?
That's that's exactly what I was thinking in my head right there.
Boy,
Hey, if I'm not allowed to fidget with the pen, neither can you.
Okay. Gone. I took it away so you couldn't fidget, and then I'm sitting there like, oh, it's right there.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
just play with it now. Nope, it's gone.
Dare you call the kettle black?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was expecting a little bit more
What, college?
diversification on this. I was thinking a little bit of college. I was thinking a little bit of going right into the workforce. I was not expecting everyone to say trade school.
Well, maybe people are actually seeing what's, lived, on this planet for X amount of time, and they're like, well, you know what, that makes more sense.
Well, I guess my thought or what I'm seeing with this is the simple fact that there is instances where people should go to college. Like
Yeah.
if you want to be a lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
you need to go to college. You want to be a doctor, you should be going to college. So I was expecting like maybe a 25% ish range on college, like a 50 to 60% on the trade school. And then I was thinking other people are just going to go right into the workforce or encourage them to go right into the workforce.
Yeah.
But I guess this is what you're encouraging your child to do, right? So
Mhm.
I know it depending on what they want to do. If they're wanting to go into medical field, obviously go to college.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to start your own business of like being an electrician or a plumber or something like that, then obviously go to a trade school.
Mhm.
And if you have no idea what you want, go ahead and enter the workforce right away and figure it out, right?
That's
So
what I did.
I'm kind of all three in one. It depends on what they want to do, right?
Yeah, which I mean, I would take it as a case by case basis, depending on your child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I don't disagree with that. So yeah,
I think you should do that with anything in life, actually.
interesting. Nonetheless, trade schools look like they're on the up and up or the rise, and I don't.
Need to.
I think Mike Rowe's been doing a really good job with Dirty Jobs and his encouragement.
Does he still make that show?
I don't know if the show's still around, but I do know he's a huge proponent on trying to get funding for public schools to actually start bringing the trades back in,
Yeah.
which they need to do. I mean, our schools basically gave up on the how to say
Schools
it.
gave up. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I've never been a fan of Bush Jr.
Oh, God, no.
His No Child Left Behind policy was absolutely stupid. It's like,
Trash.
stop trying to tell kids to memorize the answers and start teaching kids how to think for them freaking selves.
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? And yeah, I've never been a fan of Bush. I think he's
No.
one of the worst presidents.
Which one? Senior?
Junior.
Junior?
Senior was Senior was kind of
Was not as bad as junior.
No, and he was kind of a throwaway president, if you ask me. That's kind of how I
Just one that was in there just to occupy.
Yeah.
He was a resident.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was the typical establishment Republican.
Yeah.
I mean, and then Junior was. I mean, he was a typical establishment Republican as well, but he just had the IQ of a
Nat.
Yeah, I mean, he was just dumb as a box of rocks.
Well, then there's lots of things after the Bushes and Obama and now Biden.
yeah.
Dude, we're fucked if he wins for another 4 years. We are so fucked.
Well, I mean, he's done 3 years and has pretty much destroyed everything.
Everything.
It's pretty bad. He's not a very good president.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. Fair enough. So the next one we're going to look at is the question you had, which I should real quick get those comments pulled up so that way we...
I think maybe I just asked it the wrong way. Like, I thought it was a good question.
Yeah.
But maybe I did, in my head, I just pictured it differently.
Yeah, fair. So let's go ahead and get that on screen, guys. So the question is, example.
Yeah.
A boy is raised by the father and another boy is raised by the mother. What one understands the opposite sex better, and why do you think that? I thought that was an excellent question, personally. I thought it was a very philosophical question. So, but since this is your question, why don't you go ahead and lay out what you were trying to accomplish?
Well, okay, so in my head, like you always hear how, like, I mean, we've talked about it a couple times, like when a man raises his children, they tend to be more successful and stuff like that. So I was just curious in my head, like, what people thought about when a mother raises a child versus a father raises a child. Same concept, but when it comes to, like, understanding the opposite sex, is the child that's raised by the mother gonna understand the female better than if it was raised by the father?
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's all I was getting at.
So what was your answer to your own question?
I was raised by my mother for the most part.
Okay.
And I like to think that I understand women fairly well. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, like, here I am trying to teach my son. And that's kind of what started the question. Because here I am. I was raised by my mother. And then now I'm trying to raise my son.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he's got questions and shit. And he asks me every now and then, you know.
Okay.
And so it's like, well, it just started making my gears start turning. So I was just curious.
Okay. Okay. Before I give my answer, there was a couple answers in here. I like this one. That's a hard one.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I was like, huh, easy. And then the other one that I thought was really interesting was neither. There are too many playing factors in probability for biased views. Which
I can
actually
see
makes sense.
I can see
in
that.
some ways. I think if you were to boil it down to generalities, which is typically how I view the world, you have to view it in generalities. Otherwise, you can't move forward because you can get stuck in all the exceptions, right?
No, yeah, that's exactly what I was going for.
And in my view, the general rule of thumb is a man will teach a boy how to be a man. A woman cannot teach a boy how to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, part of raising a man or turning a man into it, I think the evidence actually speaks for itself. I think the divorce rates and the fact that relationships are one of the ultimate highest of unsatisfaction is directly related to the fact of the rise of the single mothers.
Yeah.
Because a single mother who is who's been spurned, let's just give the kind of trope answer, the one that's kind of commonly given is men aren't shit. Oh, you don't need a man, right?
Shit.
You ain't shit.
Yeah.
So
bitch.
now if that's the mentality that most single women have, and they're raising a son, and they're telling their son men ain't shit.
Yeah. What are you
They're
telling your
not
son?
actually going to be raising chivalrous men. You are now raising men that view women as objects. They're going to learn manipulation tactics. So my rule of thumb is a man raising a boy is going to have a better outcome for a boy in understanding the opposite sex. Does that mean that's 100% the case? No. Obviously, there are exceptions to the rules, right?
Yeah.
But in general, that would be how I would think of it. I would say you have a higher chance if you were raised by your father as a boy. And I think somewhat it applies reverse as well, because a
Mm.
man doesn't understand how to necessarily create a woman either, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
a
yeah.
daughter, it's going to be a little bit harder. I th-
So
so
it
this
just.
goes back to what we were talking about the other week, right? So we were talking about empathy and sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so women I think are more sympathetic, and men are more empathetic, right?
Okay.
So what's the definition differences between sympathy and empathy? Do you know?
No, enlighten me, O wise one.
Okay, so with
Ugh.
sympathy, you are feeling for something else. You can feel bad, or you can feel, you're not stepping into their shoes and empathizing with them. You're acknowledging their plight,
Okay.
basically. Empathy, however, is going in and understanding the struggles that you're going to have to deal with in the responsibilities, the reactions that come with it, kind of thing,
Ah.
right?
Okay.
So that's kind of the general difference in how you can look at sympathy versus empathy. So women are typically more sympathetic. They
Okay.
they they do feel bad for other people's. They're more communal living. They want people to be treated fairly and, you know
Mm-hmm.
equitable. Um, don't I hate that? And men typically are more empathetic, right? We understand men can understand men's problems really well because we're empathetic to
Mm-hmm.
what men have to go through, right?
Okay, fair enough.
Um, but we also have to be empathetical to women as
Mm-hmm.
well, right? Because if you are not empathetical to women, you cannot actually forge a decent relationship with them.
Hmm.
Um, but a woman will not empathize with what a man has to do. And I think our poll question that we went over last week, where
Oh
it
yeah.
says the family not giving up, prioritizing
Yeah,
work
family
over
over.
family, is a perfect example. That's more of a sympathy,
What
a
was that one?
sympathizing than an empathy.
Yeah. Yeah.
With that being said, a man can raise a woman or a girl into a woman, because you're going to be able to empathize with the opposite gender a much more than a woman's going to be able to empathize with a man's struggle, right? I was watching this one thing, and it hit me really hard. Um, it was a man talking about the psychological breakdown, how they're treating male depression the
Uh
same
huh.
way as they're treating female depression, right?
Oh, what the
What
hell?
are key differences, right? Women want to be loved and included and shown affection, and
Mm-hmm.
right, it's more communal based. What is a man depression? Man depression isn't. We don't care about having that community behind us. We care about being capable and
Mm-hmm.
providing service, right? We need a purpose.
Yeah, yeah. Goal
So
oriented. I get that.
we are different as genders. We have very different needs, and we can't keep treating the problem the same for everyone, right? Because men have a different
Need.
solution than a woman does.
Yeah.
And the same thing with public schools. The public schools have been designed to force you to sit in chairs. Well, men typically have more physical needs that need
Mm-hmm.
to be met, meaning that they learn better when they're out running and playing,
Hands
and
on.
hands on tackling
Yep.
things. So even the school system's actually been changed and set up in a way that actually prioritizes the feminine needs over the masculine needs.
So what would you suggest in the school system doing to fix that? Like
Well,
just one little suggestion.
one little
Just one little thing.
I would completely throw out public school system the way it sits and go to a Montessori style learning.
A mono what?
Montessori?
Okay, I just making sure I heard you right.
Yeah, Montessori style.
I'm half asleep over here. I'm tired today.
No, it's all good, man. So I would go with self-directed learning, because
Self-directed learning. Okay.
you can break it down. There's the two general differences between the sexes. However, then you start looking at the individuals. Not every individual learns the exact same way.
No. Yeah.
Like I listen, or I learn by listening, right?
Mhm.
Other people learn by reading. Other
Yeah.
people learn by doing. I'm a more my first is listening.
Auditorial.
Yeah, if you explain something to me and get me to understand it, perfect, great. I can understand it and I will be good to go. My second is probably hands on. If I'm doing it myself, then I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I am not. Death by PowerPoint is the worst for me. If you sit me in front of a PowerPoint and expect me to read it, I'm not going to be able to. Nope, sorry.
That's crazy.
I went through my entire college career. I stopped buying textbooks after my first year.
The audiobooks?
No, and I didn't even buy audiobooks.
What'd you do?
I just went to class and listened. That's all I did. As long as I went to class and was listening to the topics, and he was drawing it on the board, and
you were good.
I was good to go. I never had. The only thing I needed textbooks were for the questions that were in it. So I just had people photocopy the dang questions for me.
Damn.
But because I didn't learn from reading, I could not read the book and learn. I had to listen to someone explaining it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. If I read something, I fall asleep, dude. It puts me to sleep. But if I listen to somebody do it and like show me like more hands on this, yeah, dude, I pick it up quick.
Yeah. So I mean, everyone's different. But I think public schools, like I said, they favor keeping kids locked in certain into a deck, into the desk, and then they
brainwash them.
I mean, yeah, it's not set up well for especially boys. And then
I just feel like we're set up to fail right out the gate, man.
Well, they kind of are though, because the natural urges of a man is always demonized. Have you ever noticed that?
Oh yeah.
Like you have to sit still. Don't do that. Oh, you have ADHD if you can't sit still. You can't focus.
I dealt with that my whole life.
Well, that's not necessarily the case. You're just not stimulating the right parts of them to actually learn properly.
Yeah.
So our society has definitely shifted to prioritizing the feminine over the masculine, and it is definitely said that the feminine way of doing things is the right way of doing things, and that's not necessarily the case, because I think we have started to see the ramifications of it. We have a very feminized male society now.
Yeah.
And we have a society that is, in my opinion, on the verge of collapse.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
We do not. I mean, yeah, we don't support strong masculine figures anymore. We actually demonize them.
It's just dumb as shit, man. What happened to, everybody being different and embracing everybody's, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the thing is like I said, if the feminine is a communal structure, a masculine is an individual structure, right? So in order to be one of the group, you have to be a communal structure. So that means that the masculine, is automatically shunned.
Yeah.
So we have that term toxic masculinity now.
That's so stupid.
But a true masculine man is not toxic.
No.
A feminized man is now toxic.
See, that doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, it makes sense. Don't get me wrong, but fuck, man.
Well,
I just feel bad for like our kids that are growing up in this shit. Like, it genuinely like frustrates me and pisses me off. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I homeschool. Like, fuck that.
Well, think of it like this, right? So, without the great equalizer, the pew pew, what chance does a woman really have against a physical altercation against a man? Zero. Damn close to zero.
Okay. Right.
I mean, there's some women that will straight up whoop the crap out of a man.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
Right, but generally speaking,
it's slim to none.
Slim to none, right? Men typically would dominate. So what protects that woman from a bad man?
Another man,
right? So it works so far as good men will be good men. However, when you treat them as toxic and you're telling them that all the traits that make you a man, being opening the doors, standing up for it, walking on the outside of the street when you're walking down the street with your girl, those types of things are ingrained should be ingrained in your boys, and those are going to be taught from other men. Yeah. Men will teach men how to be good men. Women cannot teach a man how to be a good man.
Okay.
I'm
gonna play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
So, a woman can't tell her son how he should treat a woman.
No, she can tell him.
Oh, okay.
She can. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to do it.
Well,
and the reasoning why is because he's going to get mixed signals. In society, he's going to get mixed signals.
Yeah,
so if he's coming from a single woman and she's saying, "Hey, you need to stand up and protect women. You need to open the door for her. You need to pay for the first date." That's all well and good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a single woman is always scorned. I shouldn't say always. I tend not to speak in absolute. Single women tend to be always scorned.
Okay.
Um, and what I mean by that is there's always going to be a slight hatred for men. Right.
Okay.
So misogynistic is a term that's always thrown around. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
Everything's
definitely.
misogynistic. What about misandristic?
Misandristic?
Do you even know what misandry is?
I've never heard that before.
Okay. So misogyny is the hatred or contempt of women.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
guessing it's the opposite.
Misandry is the hatred and contempt of men.
Okay.
You cannot be misogynistic in today's day and age. However, women are actually encouraged to be misandristic.
Definitely. I can see that.
And the funny thing is most men don't care.
No,
Most men don't
fuck.
care if you hate on us because most men are an individual kind of level. Our purpose comes from internal. Women's purpose tends to come from communal.
Sorry, they can't beat us.
I mean, they can.
I'm talking shit.
But that more or less what I'm getting at is we have lived in a society that demotes the masculine nature, promotes the feminine nature,
Mm-hmm.
and you cannot have truly masculine men that are actually going to do good and help propagate more do good men in the future if we encourage the feminization of our men.
Yeah, no, I
That's
agree
kind of
with
where
you.
I'm all getting at.
I agree with you on that. But I still think that, like you said, okay, so when I still think that a woman can tell, like her little boy or whatever, how to treat a woman. Like you said, though, whether or not he listens is a whole other thing.
Mm-hmm.
But because I was raised by women, and
Yeah.
my mom would tell, hey man, you hold the door, you do this kind of shit,
Yeah.
you fix the car,
Mm-hmm.
you work on the house. So that's how I learned. My dad was never around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I hear you, and I agree with you. A woman can do that. I think it's that much harder for that man to turn out successfully as a
Definitely, I will agree with you there.
That's all I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So my general rule of thumb is it takes a man to create a man.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it can't happen from a woman creating a good man. I'm not saying that's not possible. I'm just saying the general rule of thumb is
Yes,
in my
I agree
head.
with you.
Yeah. So
All right, what's next?
I think the next question is an interesting question that we put out when we were on air last time.
Oh yeah. This one.
At what age would you let your child watch porn?
First off, what did you pick?
18 plus.
That's what I said.
I honestly was expecting this to show up exactly the way it was, 50-50 on never
I think
18 plus.
and I was actually expecting somebody to pick something else.
Uh-huh.
Just because of the way society is today. I literally expected somebody to not be using a brain.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, I'm going to go off topic.
No, handle it.
I just figured out why the echoey is happening.
Oh, why?
Because we got the audio capture set up on the Behringer as well.
Oh, look at that.
So, yeah, as we're talking, I'm sitting here seeing it going, and I'm like, oh, interesting. That's what it was. I needed to switch that back off of it, and my bad.
That's all good.
Yeah.
Next time.
So, I mean, we'll openly admit our mistakes. In here. Right. So this poll I thought was going to be exactly the way it turned out. I didn't think anyone was going to select 12 or under.
I seriously thought somebody was going to pick 13 to 18, dude. I was just waiting for it.
I was thinking it might get 1 or 2, but it got 0%.
Yeah, I'm glad it turned out this way. To be honest with you, but
I am too. That actually makes me have some faith in
society.
You know, but let's kind of go off on a tangent on this one.
Okay, let's hear it.
We can recognize that even though we say we're going to let them 18 plus or never,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be watching it right now at 13.
I could see them doing it. Yeah.
I mean, that little device right there.
They don't have one of these.
Well, yours don't. Mine do.
Yeah, mine don't.
But most kids do have those nowadays, right?
Yes.
And those things are connected to the internet. It's very easy to go and find.
Oh yeah.
So my controversial take is we have to do something from a legal level in order to hold these companies responsible, in order to help parents provide protection for their children.
Okay. I mean, I think that's a good idea.
I'm not 100% sure how you do that without starting to violate rights.
That's the thing that I was just thinking. I was like, how would they do it?
Yeah, because you can sit there and say, oh, you have to be certain, but you know as well as I. Well, let's say you have to be 18. Well, I'm 16 years old. I'm hitting that. Oh, yeah.
Well, the other thing plus. Too is another thing that parents can do is they sell those one phones or like those one smart watches
that you can only call or
that
text
you can only call and do
number.
That stuff, and you can set up parental controls on the web searches and shit like that. You can do those kinds of things. It's kind of a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it is doable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the thing is your kid goes down to fucking the neighbor kid's house and his parents don't give a flying fuck. Well, now you got to worry about that, and then it's a vicious cycle.
It is. So I mean, not 100% sure how we can do it. I'd love to hear some comments on what you think.
Yeah. Suggestions.
I would like to make it so it's a little bit more secure and harder for children to do that. But again, it goes back to whose responsibility ultimately is it? Ultimately, it's going to be the parents' responsibility. It should be. I do know that there's a push on negating parental rights.
Yeah.
But this actually leads into an interesting question. We're going to go way off topic on this one. So you ready?
Let's go.
Okay. Do you think the state has the right to determine what vaccines your child gets?
No.
Okay. Do you think it's your right that the state determines whether or not they can go and see a drag show?
No, it's not no, fuck no. I don't want my kids seeing that shit.
Okay. It's interesting. You're saying the state should not have the right to do this, but they should also, I guess let's word it a different way. The state should come in and enforce your child or shut down an establishment that's trying to let your children see a drag show, right?
I don't think the state should have any fucking say in my kid's life to begin with.
Okay, so let's say you're out though, and the drag queen story hour or whatever, that's kind of prevalent.
Oh, that shit. Right? Okay.
So do you think the state should come in and shut that down?
No, I think my kid is my responsibility. If I don't want them to participate in something like that, then there should be something like informative given to me as a parent.
Okay.
To say, hey, by the way, fucking next week, Billy, who's also known as Mandy, is gonna come in and fucking do something. Like, do you want your kid to participate? So, because I don't want to take anybody's rights away. Like, that's your shit. You want to let your kids go see that? By all means, you go ahead.
Okay.
But on my side of the street, my kids aren't gonna be doing that shit.
Okay.
I think it should be informed. You know what I mean?
So you're kind of very libertarian in that aspect, right? Your government shouldn't have any say in anything, but you should be informed so you can make your own decisions.
Yeah.
Right. I don't disagree with that. But for the sake of argument, let's say that the Republican view is that the Drake's Queen story hour should be shut down fully, right? The state should stop that from happening.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Democrats or the left is saying, no, the state has no right. That's freedom of speech, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But then on the flip side, the Republicans are saying the state should not have any ability to tell me what vaccines my child has.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the Democrat side, they're just saying, no, the state should have authority because it is a public health concern, right?
Yeah.
So you see,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm trying to set up the dichotomy between the two, which is parental rights are being eroded, but parental rights don't necessarily mean parental rights because everyone views it slightly differently. I guess that's my argument. That's
the problem with the two-party system.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody says one thing, then everybody says the other thing, but there's no, like, there is a gray
in the middle. Gray area.
You know what I mean? Like, until I still think that our opinion on the fact is the best way. Like, hey, you should be informed, and then you make up your own fucking decisions after that. But when the state comes in and takes your ability to have a voice away, that's where it becomes a fucking problem.
But what happens if your thought process is, my child should only eat one time a day and only 1,000 calories?
It's my fucking kid.
Isn't that child endangerment though?
How? If your kid doesn't need that much food, you know what I mean? Okay. Like I feed my kids 3 times a day. Don't get this fucking twisted. But if there's certain people that have dietary differences, you know what I mean? Like I've got one kid, dude. He just runs around all day. If we can get him to sit down and eat once, it's a miracle.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's every child is their own person, it's their own individual. So I think just like fucking everybody, it needs to be developed on a case by case basis.
Yeah.
You know, when you group everything into one lump sum, like this, for instance, like it doesn't. What's the word I'm thinking of? It doesn't not apply, but
Well, I think I understand what you're trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, let's say there is open child neglect or child abuse going on. Does the state not have a role at that point?
In obvious cases of child abuse,
Yep.
well, I mean, I would hope somebody would do something, but I don't know, man. You hear all these horror stories of what's really going on with fucking, what do you call it? The
CDC?
No, the Child Health Service, CHS or whatever, the DHS or whatever the fuck they're called. So I don't know, man. Like it almost sounds like the kids would be better off fucking at home, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to fucking distinguish what is the right thing to do in those situations.
I 100% agree. I mean, there's no one answer to fit all, and they should be looked at as an individual circumstance, case by case.
That's what I think, but they're not paid enough to do that. Then they throw everybody in it.
No, and I think the hard part comes down to the fact is if you're going to have a structured society that's actually going to be capable of moving on, you do have to have some general guidelines.
Guidelines, yep.
But they can't be so etched in stone that it violates.
There's no room to play.
Yeah, there's no room to play because you are right. What if one child's needs is not the same as the other child's needs, and then all of a sudden you're getting in some sort of
because then that one child is going to be hurting instead of actually, you know what I mean, or hindered or something. But like I said, man, everybody's different in this. That used to be a good thing in this country. Now it's like if you're different or you go outside of this, what they, I don't know.
Well, it's I think that other people. I think what's part of our problem is we no longer talk to our neighbor. Right, in our society today, we no longer talk to our neighbor.
No, they've alienated everybody.
They have, but the other part of our problem is the simple fact that they are going into everybody else's business without actually understanding their business. So it's interesting. I think this has been a good conversation. I think we could actually have a very long conversation around this stuff.
I just, dude, the kid thing, dude, it fucks with me, man, because like, leave the kids alone, dude.
Yes.
Leave them the fuck alone.
Agreed. So
I've got my kid, you know what I mean, and like I just get really defensive of them.
Yeah, 100% agree. I get it. So I think this was good.
A good one.
Good questions that we put out on Facebook. I'm glad people responded and participated.
If there's anything you want us to talk about,
yes,
leave us a message, email. What else we got?
Drop us a comment.
Yeah, drop us a comment, dude. Leave it anywhere. We monitor these things fairly well, and you know,
and we giggle.
Yeah, we do.
Some of it's funnier in crowd, so it's all good. Hope you enjoyed the content. Please leave us a comment on anything you want to hear us discuss. Something you disagree with. Please give us a like, share, and subscribe. Till then,
peace.